Hey guys, it's been a while since we've done a Q&A. Super excited to be able to do another one. Right, Hensley? Say Q&A time.
Q&A time.
Woo! Thank you so much, guys, for all your questions and comments across the board, Patreon and YouTube and Instagram, and just we love getting these, and we love having a chance to sit down and just answer a few. So our first question is from Joaquim on YouTube. I'm going to summarize it a little bit. Easier to be a family living in an RV than a traditional family with a house, with car payments, 9-to-5 jobs, all that kind of stuff.
What do you think, Hensley?
What do you think, girl?
Do you like living in an RV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Next question. So I will say it's not as glorious and perfect as probably it seems on video. I know, and that's not to say we live a lie or anybody else lives a lie, but I don't know. I think we probably definitely show, and the same thing on social media and everything else. You definitely see the highlights of a lot of stuff. So it is more difficult and more challenging than probably what you see on video, for us at least.
I mean, life is life. So you have life in a house and you have life in an RV, and there's not a lot of difference. So it's not like you magically become happy when you live in an RV. I think letting go of stuff has made us less cluttered in our mind, has made us more joyful. I guess not having to keep up with all of that.
It magnifies who you are and where you are in life. If you're already crazy in debt, crazy stress, and not a good relationship with your kids and your wife, and the family's just chaos, it's not like you can go from 2,000 or 3,000 square feet down to 200 and live a hectic life of having to figure out travel and stuff, and it's going to answer those problems. I don't feel like it will. It'll magnify and it'll get worse. So I would say that it's not that you're that much more happy if you're not already happy where you're at. You want to work on where you're at, get those things down like Marissa's saying, because the less stuff you have, a lot of times the less stress you'll have, and then transition into the life on the road. And if you have a good life in a house, you can have a great life on the road. Jason on Patreon asks, how bad are Walmarts for overnight? That's a question we get sometimes, because you can have a wide vary. We've thought about it a number of times. For example, I-40 always end up cleaning. We always end up chickening out and staying in a park. We have solar, dual batteries, electricity isn't a concern. A good night's sleep is our concern. Yeah, I don't think there's, in general, we've done a lot. I don't think they're as bad as maybe you would think in your mind. There can be some that are bad. We've had some that are loud. The street sweeper starts at 4 a.m. or, semis are coming in beside us and stuff like that. I don't know that we really feeling safe if you park with other RVers, and just kind of, a Walmart's a magnification of the area you're in. So if it's already a kind of sketchy area, the Walmart probably sketchy too. So
we've noticed too, the ones that are a little off the road, more people won't go to, so they're a little more quiet. So sometimes it's worth it to drive maybe that extra 5 minutes off the road, because the more inconvenient, the less people. But we still want to pull up and there be other people in the parking lot. It's like you just don't want too many or it gets too loud.
So Islander Son on YouTube asked, I've seen you in a fifth wheel. Did you get rid of it? Yes, that was a while back, like late 2015, 2016, something like that. Asking, I wonder if you would go back to a fifth wheel when your daughter grows older, or continue with the Airstream. I think if we had more kids, or if Hensley was not petite, I kind of measured it out where we're definitely good to go for the next 3 or 4 years at least, which for us, if we're in one RV for like 4 or 5 years, is a long time for us.
I think what we've realized is, especially when you have a family, the dynamics are changing. So it's hard to say that you'll always be in one thing or always be in another. So right now, we just know that the Airstream really fits our needs. We love the flexibility it gives us. We're really happy with the space. But I mean, as things change with our family dynamics, and I mean, we would love to have another child. It's we're hoping that happens one day. We've just been struggling with that a little bit, but so that we would love that.
Fifth wheels have the easiest layout if you want to convert from a house to an RV, as far as it feeling like a house. But it's also not necessarily the easiest transition as far as getting into places and doing things, which is why we got the Airstream. So. Paul Randall on Patreon says, how do you stay cool in summer while boondocking in cases where you can't run the generator? Yeah, you pretty much follow the weather, because if it's too hot and you can't run the generator, we got our fans going, we got the windows out, we got the awnings out, but if it's still too hot, we just gotta suck it up or move. Sky Hensley on Instagram says, is there a story behind Hensley's name? My last name is Hensley and I love it as a first name.
Well, that's the same thing with me. My maiden name is Hensley, and I don't know if it's a Southern thing or not, but a lot
It's a power trip's what it is.
No, I always say it's a Southern thing. I love when people are able to use their maiden names as first names, and which Hensley I had never heard as a name, and I just said to Nathan one day, I wish I had a last name that could be used as a first name. And Nathan's like, I would like Hensley. I'd be okay with that. And I was like, I never really thought of it being a name because I'd never heard it, but I thought, well, okay, I like it.
My last name's Moss. That wouldn't really work. It'd be kind of weird, but anyway. Kelly on Patreon's asking, where you camp for the eclipse, do you think you can easily navigate to them with a 40-foot Class A? We saw 40-footers up there. We saw 40-foot fifth wheels. We saw 40-foot Class A's. I'm not going to say it's like pulling off of an interstate onto a campground or something. I mean, you're on like a bumpy dirt road. There's some curves. You're a little bit of a hill. But it could be done. We saw some up there. So
and
that was yes.
That was Grand Teton View.
Yes.
Correct? And if you're wanting to check out that spot, you can find the GPS coordinates on Campidium.
See, Rivka on YouTube says, can you explain how to use BLM in National Park land, where to find the information?
Well, that kind of works with what we were just talking
about. It does.
It was BLM land.
And first of all, BLM and National Park is two totally different things. BLM land is land that's government owned, but it's typically free to camp on. Now, National Park land is a different deal. You pretty much always have to pay to stay there. It's more highly regulated. They have park rangers and staff and stuff like that regulates it a little bit more. Camp hosts sometimes.
Because it's more campground.
A lot of it's more campgroundy. Yeah.
But BLM land is just open, free land. And a lot of times they'll have like suggestions. You can see where people have parked before.
For information, I would start with the All Stays app.
We love All Stays.
We do. And somebody said, is there not an Android app now on that? Is that what somebody said?
I don't know if that's... I haven't checked into that.
Okay,
but
so we're not sure.
that.
If there's not an Android app, there's still an All Stays online pro app, which does cost money, but I feel like it's worth the money. There are other apps. There's tons of apps that do this. When you say, what app do you guys use? You'll get a list of like 10 different apps. And we've used probably most all those apps. So I'm not saying that All Stays does everything perfectly. It doesn't. But we feel like it's a really good blend of, especially starting off and not overwhelming you. It gives you a lot of what you need to start
And make
off.
sure you get the RVing one, because apparently there's like
different ones.
a different version.
All Stays RV don't get the truck version and different versions they have. Wally on Patreon asks, I noticed in one of your videos you secured your stabilizer bar when you set up. What other precautions do you take? Do you remove your tire pressure sensors and all that? My take is this, because we'll even leave our bike out and stuff, and they're like, oh, this is California, don't leave your bike out, which I get it. Different areas may have a higher theft rate than others, but in my mind, if it's so dangerous that I've got to take my tire pressure sensors off and I've got to like hide our $70 Walmart bike that would probably get whatever $20 on the black market. So if it's that dangerous to me that you've got to like secure things that are less than 100, not that I'm trying to leave things out as a temptation for anybody. Now we lock up like our stabilizer. We tried, if we have a generator out or something like that, we've got that stuff locked down, stuff that's expensive. I mean, we're going to lock it down almost no matter what. But yeah, if it's so dangerous, you got to do every tiny little thing. I mean, you may just need to go somewhere else.
Well, you would just drive yourself kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, we've heard of people getting their bikes stolen off the back of their rig while they're sleeping in places. I mean, so they'll...
Or in a town. You could go park in a town and...
They'll find a way. So it's almost just like we don't want to be worrying about that all the time. We just try to stay in a good area. But I mean, we've had things stolen in good areas before, so
you never know. Just use some common sense. If it feels too dangerous to me, I would probably just move anyways. JT on YouTube's asking, I forgot how long is your Airstream and also what size Instant Pot do you have? The Airstream is 30 feet 10 inches, I think, just under 31 feet. I don't know Instant Pot wise. That's your...
We have a 6-quart, which they make smaller down to 3-quart up to 8, maybe even 10. So there's wide ranges. We have a 6. That's worked good for us. It's a little big. We store it under the sink. So Nathan asked, is there any way we could downsize that? But I just think it's a really good size for our family. Just because I like having like a little bit extra that I can use for a next meal. So
I think the 6 would work for a family of 4 and down.
Yeah.
Maybe a family of 5 if they're small eaters.
I like it because I like to put large like potatoes, like sweet potatoes in it and stuff like that. So the 6 works for us.
Tony on Patreon says, my mom and I are both teachers, and off during the summer we thought a lot about getting an RV for longer trips. In your opinion, do you think 2 women could handle the setup and moving process of a travel trailer?
And we've had other people ask us if they could do it solo as well. So I thought this was a pretty neat question.
Yeah, I think if you kept the trailer 30 feet-ish or smaller, I think you can get into a lot of places. I think navigating, it's not too bad. I think if you got a really big travel trailer, like a 35 feet or something like that, it might get clunky and you might have hard times with some places you go. So keep the trailer smaller enough. I don't think it'd be that bad. You can practice backing it up before you go and all that stuff if you need to. Worst case, I mean, you could just look for campgrounds with pull-throughs, and then
we did that in the beginning.
We did. We had like a 43-foot fifth wheel. I'd backed some trailers up before, but not a 43-foot fifth wheel very much. So we kind of gradually worked our way into it before we backed into something.
We practiced in parking lots, and it just takes a little bit of practice, but just go as small as you can comfortably live or travel in. That's kind of what we suggest. So.
And to me, safety is a big deal too. Make sure you've got your weight distribution bar on there and things that need to be in place. Make sure you're not extremely overweight, all that, because if you're extremely overweight and your vehicle's not able to handle the RV, I mean, that's when it could get sketchy. If you can't brake like you need to, control it like you need to, that'll add a lot of stress to the situation. So take care of that too, and it'll alleviate a lot of that fear.
You want to meet everybody?
Yes.
Hensley.
All right, so we're going to have a meetup this Saturday, the 27th from 2 to 4 p.m. That's going to be Mountain Time in Quartzsite. It's at the Quartzsite Town Park. I'll put the GPS coordinates in the description as well.
Meet at the playground.
We'll be at the playground. Is where we're going to be in or around the playgrounds where we're going to be, because that's what we need.
That's what Hensley needs.
But if you want to come out and meet us, that's we'll be hanging out for a couple of hours. Be glad to meet you guys. Again, love our community all around the board. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon. Thank you so much, guys.
And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram in case we need to update the meetup time or location, anything that may change. Looking forward to meeting some of you guys.
Love putting faces with the names.
Hopefully somebody shows up. And if they don't, we'll just play on the playground.
We'll be at a playground. It'll be all right. Well, looking forward to being in Quartzsite. Looking forward to seeing some of you guys. And hope these questions for you guys that can't make it to the meetup have been helpful. And we will catch you later.
Say see you at Quartzsite.
Yeah, Quartzsite. Kelly time.
What time?
Kelly time.
Q&A time.
Yeah.
Q&A time.
Tiny.
Q&A time.
Q&A time.
Tiny time.
Q&A time.
Tiny time.
Good enough.